So the Eagles didn't get a home playoff game this weekend, but there is college basketball in Philadelphia today. Atlantic 10 Hoops is on tap with the hometown Explorers set to play host to a traditional A10 Power. Your A10 doubleheader kicks off right here in Philly with La Salle and VCU from inside the Gola Center. Thanks for being with us, Paul Burmeister alongside Tim McCormick. We're about halfway through this college basketball season. We're still getting a feel for this version of the VCU Rams. They have more new in their starting lineup than any team in the conference. They have a brand new head coach, but their identity is starting to take shape.
Exactly, Paul. And when you think about VCU historically, you think about aggressive junkyard-style defense, but they've changed. They have four that average double figures. I think they're an elite offensive team, powered by a sensational senior standout, Max Shulga. And I like him a lot. The Utah State transfer has made a seamless transition. He's a big, physical, tough guard at 6'5", smart, smooth, and skilled. Gets you about 15 points per game. That's top 10 in the A10. Yeah, I love his post and perimeter versatility. Definitely a tough cover.
Other side, we find La Salle, and they are all about familiarity. It felt like Jameer Brickus, Khalil Brantley were veterans last year. Well, they're back, and they're even better than they were a year ago. Their productivity has gone up.
Fran Dunphy said he loves his killer bees, and when they're on the court, he feels more comfortable. The numbers really impressive. And let's focus on the man on the right, Khalil Brantley. When I look at him, he's one of those tough, aggressive, and confident New York City guards that gets wherever he wants. He's a two-way player for sure. 15 points per game, 5 rebounds. Yeah, I said 5 rebounds, and he's only 6'1". The word I would use to describe Brantley is tough. No, I got another one too. He's skilled as well. I'm really excited to see this matchup.
His head coach is Fran Dunphy. He told us during the week that he started watching film at VCU on the drive home from UMass on Wednesday night. He said they're long, they're athletic. We've got to be tougher. We've got to be smarter for the entire game. As for that new head coach, that's Ryan Odom, first year at VCU. He said he expects a game plan from La Salle built around those two guards Tim talked about, Brickus and Brantley. He said his defense has to be ready to guard them one-on-one throughout. Underway here in Philadelphia, La Salle coming off a loss at UMass on Wednesday night, a game that was tied 5 different times in the first half, and they actually led a couple of times in the second half, but in the end, shooting let them down, and they ended up losing by 16. They're 1-2 in the Atlantic 10.
2 man-to-man defensive teams. VCU on Tuesday just held George Mason to 50.
And there's their top scorer, Brantley, with his first 2, averaging 15 points per game. So VCU, I mentioned a new starting lineup. It actually goes deeper than that. Their top 7 scorers from last year, Tim, they're all gone.
A quick impression for you. VCU has a massive size advantage. They're big and physical. This could be a mismatch on the glass.
Kuany Kuany, transfer from Cal, first season at VCU. Furman backing it out. They look inside, and now back to him. An easy deuce to get the Rams all tied.
A+ start on the offensive end for VCU. Everybody got a touch. They took their time, and they get a layup. Remember, not much rim protection for La Salle.
Jameer Brickus kicks it out to Ryan Zan. Fusasi hit 3 threes in the first half against UMass. This is Shepard. And they could really use him to get going. He's been coming on the glass recently, but missed that one. And here comes Zeb Jackson, 2 years at Michigan, now in his second season at VCU.
Don't you love it when guys pay their dues? So many people leave early. Zeb Jackson is really playing his best basketball right now.
Trying to get it inside to Furman once again, knocked out. Now at 13 to shoot. So we talk about Brickus and Brantley, and Brantley gets them started. A little pull up there, the one-on-one game from outside, and also taking it to the glass will be there. And meanwhile, VCU gets it inside. You talk about the size advantage they have, and it showed up right there with their first deuce.
They also have really good experience. VCU's top 4 scorers are all seniors or grad students.
And one of those grad students and seniors handling the ball, that's Max Shulga, transferred in from Utah State. A long 3, had to get that one up, only 2 seconds to shoot. He is the one that Ryan Odom calls their most talented, best player. Brickus, 1 basket already. Thought he could have pulled up there. And that's extra steps there for Tunde Valberg Fusasi.
Fasasi is going to be a really important player. Remember, Anwar Gill, their third guard, sprained his ankle. He's out for this game. Fran Dunphy said that Fasasi is the one that he needs to step up and play mature minutes.
Kuany Kuany had that ball knocked away by Brickus off of Shulga. It will come back to the Explorers. Jameer Brickus talked about what a veteran he was at the top of the broadcast. This is his 88th start. He and Brantley account for almost 40% of the total production offensively here for La Salle, averaging just about 30 points a game between them. Shepard, double figures 6 of the last 7 games, turns that one over.
You know, when I did some film study this week on VCU, you're right, you mentioned the open. They're a new system, new coach. Last year, I thought that VCU is better than this team right now on defense, but I like the upside and potential of this Rams team. I think Dayton and VCU will be the best offensive teams at the end of the year.
Furman has 2 baskets, and Tim, both of them right at the basket, unabated.
Who's going to block a shot for La Salle? That's got to be a major concern for Explorer fans.
Furman at 6'10", no one for La Salle even close to that height, and that is 3 turnovers in a row against La Salle.
You know, I like the strategy for La Salle. They're on the perimeter and they're switching all screens, but there has to be somebody to help out at the rim. Paul, they're not going to block shots. They may need to use the charge as a deterrent.
4 players in the A-10 averaging at least 13 and also 5 assists. Zeb Jackson, who just passed it up, he's one of them. Brickus and Brantley on the other side, the other 2. And that time, the foul inside against Furman. And yes, they have talent. They're shooting it well from outside, but clearly their goal is to take advantage of that size advantage they have inside with Furman.
Yeah, this is a late call, but it's the correct call. And VCU running a little 4 out, 1 in. They're a good perimeter shooting team, and by doing that, the middle of the lane is wide open. I would expect that the VCU bigs could have a field day inside.
Furman already with 5 points. He's averaging only 6 this season. And he's one of the 4 players. We talked about all the new on VCU. He's one of the 4 players that came back after last year. Nice job by Kuany Kuany, but he goes out of bounds with it, and it'll come back to La Salle.
Oh, we were talking a little bit earlier. Ryan Odom has done such a fantastic job of re-upping this lineup to have this many transfers, freshmen and redshirt guys. They really seem to have a good understanding of where they like the ball, and their defense is getting better.
You said they'd already had basically 3 different versions of their team, with Bairstow coming back from a broken foot he suffered in October. Shot clock down to 8. They look inside to Zan. Easy look. And he uses the glass well. But Bairstow came back from a broken foot mid-December. Joe Bamasiel, who will come off the bench at any moment. Transfer eligibility questions. He wasn't eligible till late December, so they're really, according to his own words, still figuring this out. Max Shulga has started every game. Transfer from Utah State. Again inside to Furman. And they get the reach inside, the foul against Brantley.
Ryan Zan is really coming on. Sporadic minutes earlier. He's coming off the bench. Last 2 games, he gets the start. 10 points per game.
4th start in a row, the first 4 starts of his career. VCU taking advantage inside early here at La Salle. One of La Salle's normal starters there in street clothes, Anwar Gill, tucked in there next to 6'10", Rokas Yotus. There he is. He's missed the last 3 games now with an ankle injury. He's one of the veterans, and they've been without him here recently.
Earlier during warm-ups, all the players came in together, and there was somebody that was giving a fire-up speech to the guys, and I called Anwar over and said, when the team comes together, who does the team listen to the most? He said, me. And I said, well, you sound like you're going to be a coach someday. And he said, absolutely. He said, so give me a breakdown if you're going to be a coach of how to beat VCU. He said, first of all, we have to win the turnover game, keep the rebound numbers close, and be strong on defense. He already sounds like a coach, and so far his team is doing a nice job. They've got a lead. They're controlling pace, and as Fran Dunphy teams always do, they value the ball.
The rebound numbers, and he's having a good laugh over there on the bench about something. He wants the rebounds to stay close. Right now, La Salle has one more rebound than VCU, but they haven't had an answer for Christian Furman. He knocks down the first free throw there. He already has 6 points, and as you can see, that accounts for all of the scoring for the Rams. And getting to the line is something that VCU's done awfully well. 77%, Tim, #1 in the Atlantic 10.
Yeah, and kind of an interesting scenario. VCU is so good making their free throws, and La Salle is 8-0 when they make more free throws than their opponents. So let's keep an eye on that.
A couple of good passes inside, trying to free up Usasi from deep. Made 3 of those in the first half at UMass, but misses that one. Zan just hit a bucket from inside, and now has a pull-up to go along with it. Zan only had 2 points at UMass on Wednesday, has doubled that already. Bairstow with the ball, broken foot mid-October, didn't come back until mid-December. This is his 6th game back in the lineup. Zan comes up with a steal there. Usasi, though, was on the line, so the ball falls back to VCU.
You know, how do most guys spend their retirement? They play pickleball, they watch their grandkids grow. Not Fran Dunphy. He's spending his resurrecting a La Salle program he loves. He's a legend. 600+ wins at Penn, Temple, NCAA trips, Hall of Fame resume. He is universally loved and respected throughout Philadelphia.
Graduated here in 1970 and is back now in his 2nd season as the head coach. Shulga drive on his way to the basket.
You know what I like the best? Look at that outfit. The guy looks like a stud. He looks handsome. I don't like the fact that coaches everywhere are wearing sweatsuits. And I know Ryan Odom looks good too, but I love the suit on a coach.
I can say that he didn't walk in with the suit. I saw him carrying it in right from the dry cleaner. Shulga to the basket, wanted a foul, didn't get it, and here comes Brickus. #1 in the A-10 in assists. Gives it up to Fasasi, Shepard, and now Brantley slows it down.
The best thing the Explorers do is ball security. They average 10 turnovers per game, and I bet that Fran Dunphy wants less than that.
Assist to turnover ratio, 2nd best in the A-10. Shepard slashing to the hoop, couldn't cash in. And Zan already has 2 buckets, missed that one. Rebound to Toby Lawal, he just checked in. You see a lot more Rams play in than Explorers. They'll go 9 deep and travel there against Nelson. LaSalle got off to a nice start to the season, Tim, but they've hit a bit of a skid. I've talked about the fact that they lost at UMass by 16 on Wednesday night, and you see what they've done these last 6 games. A lot more losses than wins.
Yeah, I really like a lot of things that LaSalle does. They're guard-driven. They surround those guards with shooters. They're very smart, but they're really pretty easy to predict. They're perimeter-oriented, no post-game whatsoever.
I mentioned that VCU is expected to play 9 deep, while LaSalle will play only 7 with Anwar Gill out of the lineup. Great spin by Brickus, and he'll get to the line. Ryan Odom talked to us about that during the week, about how his guards will have to play so much man-to-man defense to keep Brickus and Brantley from driving to the hoop like we just saw.
Yeah, we talked about one of the killer bees, Khalid Brantley. Jameer Brickus is the other. And he basically, the first day he stepped on campus, he grabbed the point guard spot. #1 in A-10 assists, had 12 versus UMass. And you know, it's easy to focus on the assists with him, but he can score too. He came from Coatesville High School, and he broke Rip Hamilton's scoring records for high school. So when they need him to get a bucket, he certainly can.
Could Hamilton shoot? Was he good at that?
Not bad. Every time I think of Rip, I think of him running that floppy play with the Pistons and running off a single-double, making a mid-range jump shot.
Rickus goes 1 for 2. We'll keep a close eye on the free throw shooting for the Explorers after they made only 6 out of 15 in a loss at UMass on Wednesday. Full court trap there. Shulga up to Bamisil, just checked in. And he's been a story for VCU even before he started playing. This is his 4th school in the last 4 years. Wasn't eligible because of the transfers until late December. And they're bringing him off the bench. Shulga forced one there. Kept alive inside by the wall. And when you're 6'8" with a 49-inch vertical, you can do that.
Wait, say that again.
49-inch vertical.
My goodness. When I think of that, I think of David Thompson or Darrell Griffith back in the day.
Brantley made one of those earlier, tip back to Shulga. Doesn't have numbers, kicks it out to Nelson, his first year on campus. Rebound to Shepard, up to Brantley. Blocked there by Bamisil. He's Mr. Offense, but that was quite the defensive play. Shulga, pull up three, got it. Started every game last year at Utah State, leading scorer right now for VCU.
Pace of play, I asked Fran Dunphy, he said 50s is probably too low. I expect a game in the 60s. We could maybe get to 70 if we get super hot and get some lucky bounces.
We call that the home gym bounce there, not lucky.
Hey, Jin Utah.
Playing in Tom Gola Arena. Yeah, if I look up Tom Gola on YouTube, you think there's some old school video I could check out?
We might find Fran Dunphy in it. He played for Tom Gola, the late Tom Gola here. And Bamisil off the bench getting a piece of that one, and that led to Shulga. Coming up court and eventually pulling up. And that's his first long-distance ball of the afternoon.
Pretty balanced on offense. 4 average double figures. And the key thing is that if Anwar Gill is out there playing, then you just add another ball handler. They are one of the toughest covers in the Atlantic 10, but you just think over the course of the game, if they're not getting to the free throw line, it's going to be a hard time to score 65 points in this game.
Brickus, step back three, no good. Ryan Zand working the offensive glass, and he's fouled by Kuany Kuany. So far, La Salle hanging in there with the rebounds. They have 7, a couple of more than VCU, even though the Rams have more size. And Shepard now has 2 fouls. There's number 13 for La Salle. He's 6th in the A-10 in minutes played, so they will likely keep him out there. Zan. Oh! Shepard almost thrilled the crowd here, but it's back the other way. Bell in for the first time. Zeb Jackson, quick first step. Kuany Kuany back into Zan. And La Salle fell behind early. They were getting beat in the paint. They've responded well. Have a chance to tie or go up by 1 right here. Both teams coming in 1 and 2 in the A-10. Continue to leave Zan open. Brantley has 1 pull-up jumper, top scorer for the Explorers, averaging 15. Shot clock now just inside of 10. Now called against Kuany Kuany, second against him. So we keep an eye on Toby Lawal every time he checks in for the Rams because he just might do that. Rams with an early lead here in Philadelphia. VCU jumped out to a pretty big early lead, leaning on their presence in the paint, but La Salle has responded well. They trailed only by 2. So VCU has been a difficult turn into 2024. We talked about how much new they had. They had to replace their top 7 scorers from last year. Lost their first 2 games in the Atlantic 10. They did win earlier this week at George Mason. First season here for Ryan Odom. He told us during the week he always knew if the VCU job came open that he would hope to have a chance at it. He's been a head coach at Lenoir-Rhyne, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and also Utah State the last 2 years. But he grew up in the Mid-Atlantic to South region. His father, Dave, was a longtime basketball coach at the college level here, and he has always had an eye or an interest in this spot if it did come up.
Ryan Odom, really impressive job so far. His dad was a head coach at Wake, South Carolina, East Carolina. He was an assistant coach for Ralph Sampson at Virginia. He coached Tim Duncan. And growing up, Ryan Odom would leave school and then go right to practice, and he's hanging out with Jeff Lamp and Mark Ivoroni and all the Virginia legends. You can't help but have a huge basketball IQ living a childhood like that.
And Brickus has started out cold. He also would watch Ralph Sampson practice with those UVA teams. Bamisil, he's still looking for his first 2 and the rebound to Marrero. He told us also the women would practice first. Brantley kicks it out to Brickus. And Marrero, top 3-point shooter for La Salle, and he knocks one down. If they can get him going and Fusasi from deep, could have a game here.
Surprising 3 turnovers early for La Salle. That's a big number for them. but they have a lead, and they're playing the pace that works best for them.
Sal on top for the first time. Bamisiel. Ryan Odom said he gives us a punch off the bench, a boost of scoring that we really need. This is his 5th game back. Nelson, no look pass inside. Berman couldn't hang on. And the Explorers, who took the lead for the first time with their last possession, now have a chance to build on it. Guerrero making 42% of his threes so far. Just hit one on the last possession. Yotus just checked in, 6'10", and he makes it 2 trays in a row.
And La Salle's guard play is exquisite, but right now it's the big guys knocking down shots. I believe that VCU is so worried about the killer bees that they're leaving the big guys open.
Nelson lost his footing. Guerrero comes up with it. Kicks it out to Brantley. Brickus and Brantley, top 3 in the A-10 in minutes played. Pivot and some glass. Veteran savvy scoring move there for the man in his 88th career start. And just like that, La Salle comes alive offensively. Couple of threes the last time down court, leading to Brickus drive, and the Explorers have come alive. It took a little while here in the home court in Philadelphia, but Fran Dunphy's offense has come alive, Tim, from outside and also from in.
Yeah, and I watched specifically the game La Salle against George Mason. The Explorers looked exactly like this, controlling tempo, everybody involved. Remember, 7 different La Salle players have led the team in scoring this year. The big question mark is, in the second half, George Mason wore down La Salle and had a come-from-behind victory. Can La Salle keep this pace and keep controlling their turnovers?
Guerrero almost came up with a steal there to start this press, and the Explorers on a 10-0 run. They made their last 3 shots. Shulga, leading scorer for the Rams, only 1 bucket so far. Bamisiel has not scored yet. Coming off the bench, good look inside. And Bell couldn't connect. La Salle another stop, and we'll see if they can keep the offense going here. They started out 4 out of 14, but as I mentioned, they've hit 3 consecutive buckets. Brantley opens himself up, and that's a good look for them.
This is a trip that Bamisiel needs to try to get a shot. They're not getting their best players the ball in space.
8 consecutive empty trips offensively for VCU. Yotus was open, and here comes Bamisiel. Shepard the only one between him and the hoop, and a foul from behind against Marrero. You don't expect to say that about a VCU side very often. 8 consecutive trips without a basket on offense.
Yeah, that doesn't happen, and Bamisiel's the guy that needs to get going. Yeah, I wonder what his closet is like when you think about all the gear he's received over the years. So well traveled. Virginia Tech, he was all conference at George Washington, 16 points per game. Then he went off to Oklahoma. Now this is his 4th team in 4 years, and he has to lead the country in number of hoodies and tennis shoes and sweatpants. This guy's been hooked up over the years.
And even though he's coming off the bench, he's getting a lot of minutes. And you've been on a number of teams, professionally especially, Tim. You know how it is, makes the second free throw. Guys get used to playing when somebody else comes back in, and they got to go back to the bench, and he goes to the bench now. That chemistry is a delicate thing when players start to come back and take up a lot of minutes.
It is a tough challenge, and Coach Odom was telling us that for their summer reading program, they picked a book called Legacy. It was a story about a black rugby team that had to try to reinvent themselves but also pay homage to their culture. This VCU program is known for defense. They went to the Final Four. Shaka Smart had havoc. Mike Rhodes had chaos. Anthony Grant was a great defensive coach. Will Wade, up-tempo. This is a program that has so much rich history.
Go from the macro down to the micro. They've got to figure out the offense now. They were finding their way inside early. There's a look to Bell. And he gets to the glass. The follow-in missed as well, and they continue to struggle offensively. And La Salle, while VCU has been struggling to find it on the offensive end, beginning to come alive. Marrero, little runner. He's got a 3 and that deuce. LaSalle is just growing that lead.
VCU has had the ball in the paint plenty. They can't finish over the defense.
Bairstow gets it in, backs his way there. And that's been their top threat so far. That's his third bucket. Christian Furman. And LaSalle lead back to 4. You know, VCU losing the first couple of games is so odd for the Atlantic 10. This team, most dominant the last 3 seasons, the only one with double-digit wins in those 3. 15-3 a year ago. Step back. Oh, Rick is feeling it. And he's got the green light to do that anytime he wants. And the Explorers have their largest lead yet. VCU has already played 9 different players. This is Bairstow. That's his first 3. Full-time starter at Utah State last year. He and Max Schulga making the trip from Utah State to VCU with the head coach Ryan Odom. Inside of 7 minutes now. VCU led early, but Brickus and the Explorers have looked good recently. In and out that time. And this is Schulga. He only has 1-3, fouled by Brickus on his way to the basket. Ryan Odom said his guards have to play one-on-one, in and out against Brickus and Brantley. Check out the step-back 3. The Explorers lead by 4. Fran Dunphy's Explorers started out down by 4 early in this game, then a 10-0 run led by his guards. Sprung LaSalle to a 4-point lead, and this is a team that plays their best players nearly the entire game. You look at minutes played in the A-10, Tim. Top 6, there are 3 of them right here. Brickus and Brantley, 1 and 3. They haven't come out of the game yet. Shepherd has only missed 2 minutes.
And the great benefit for having big minutes is you have a happy team. Guys know they can really get into a rhythm, and you get in great shape being able to play large minutes.
On the other side, Ryan Odom, the head coach for VCU, Tim, he told us during the week that we got to get the extra helpers, got to get the offensive boards when we're really playing well. They only have 2. And he said turnovers killed us early in the season, and taking care of the ball now is such a big part of our progression offensively. Well, they've turned it over 7 times. LaSalle only with 4.
New players, new system, and Ace Baldwin, remember him from last year, A-10, all-league star, champions of the regular season, champions in the A-10 tournament. Ace Baldwin is at Penn State with his coach Mike Rhodes. This is the point in the game when he would take over, and look at the quality that they lost. 7 scores from last season are gone. The only returner is a guy named Zeb Jackson, and he just got back in the game.
And that foul was against Brickus, and he thought for sure he had made a good defensive play. VCU is the last team in the Atlantic 10 of the 15 teams you want to send to the free throw line. 77% as a team that is number 1 in the A-10. And this is Max Schulga, knocked down his first. And he goes 2 for 2. And now the Rams trail by 2.
VCU sets up their press. How much have we said that over the years?
Man, oh man. It used to be their signature part of their game. Not quite as much anymore.
Now, I watched VCU in November, saw them in December. Every month, they're playing a little bit faster in their pace.
Brantley gives it up to Fasasi. He and Brickus green light to go one-on-one anytime. Double teamed on the baseline. And foul called as he got there on Toby Lawal. 5 team fouls now against VCU, so a couple away from the bonus situation here as we approach the 6-minute mark. Rams jumped out to a 4-minute lead early in this one, but then LaSalle got hot offensively. 10-0 run, spurned by their shooting. Furman checks back in. He has a team-high 8 for VCU. And also the fact that VCU had a stretch here in this first half where they had 8 consecutive empty possessions on offense. Yotus Marrero has 1 3. Shepherd hits the glass. He had 8 rebounds each of the last 2 games, intercepted by Zeb Jackson. Fastest player Ryan Odom has ever coached. Just shows you a little bit of that on the way to the glass.
Beautiful finish, and he ignored his right hand to make sure he got to his dominant left hand.
Marrero again tries the 3, knocked down, and he'll go to the line to shoot 3. 7-0 run right now for VCU. They very much needed it. They were on the wrong end of a 10-0 run earlier. Pretty by Zeb Jackson.
Earlier, as an easy call, a horrific decision to foul a three-point shooter from that far out. You know, Zeb Jackson earlier in the game had a layup that he missed with his offhand, his right hand. And so right around half court, it looked like the light came on in his head where he said, I'm going to set my man up to make sure I get to my left. And part of the reason that he is so skilled is the fact that his freshman and sophomore year, he played at Michigan for John Beilein. John Beilein players historically have been excellent at the dribble, pass, shoot fundamentals.
Meanwhile, Marrero knocks down 2 out of 3 free throws. La Salle 3 out of 5 from the stripe after hitting less than half of their free throws on Wednesday night. Explorers up by 2. They lost in the one matchup against VCU last year by 13. And of the 8 players who scored for VCU, only Zeb Jackson is back. The other 7 elsewhere. Furman. That would have got him to double digits, and a foul called against Fats Billups, who has just checked into the game. VCU has now played 10 different players already.
Earlier this week, La Salle played UMass on the road, gave up 49% from the field. That's not good enough to win at home or on the road. And it's good to see Fran Dunphy's team has really done a nice job in this first half of not letting VCU get to the rim.
Now they're at half of their free throws made as Brantley misses the front end of the one-on-one. They're 3 out of 6. Jackson getting the call from the sideline. Started 5 times last year, kind of a role player, and he started every game this year. Shulga back to Jackson. Good quick first step. Furman couldn't knock it in. Here comes Marrero. 1 against 3. Shulga knocks it away. He'll stay right here with La Salle.
I know that when you look at VCU defensively, that they play about 90% man, but I do think that they could have some great success with their length playing zone.
They were in a little bit of zone earlier. Yotus, give and go to the hoop. His first basket puts La Salle back up by 4. If they could find a way to get Yotus at 6'10" involved inside and get Rickus and Brantley with their usual games, get Shepard going offensively. He's guarding the ball right now. He's yet to score. Bairstow almost got all the way in. Furman has a game-high 10 points.
And Furman has been the best offensive player so far for VCU. I believe that's his 10th point. There's nobody inside that can stop him.
Way above his average already of 6 points. Little pull-up, tight defense. Shulga outlets to Billups. Little finger roll. Zeb Jackson is down at half court for VCU. Have an injury timeout. So Furman is having a day. Only 6-point average, but they've been feeding him inside. Little pretty jump hook. He's the only player in this game at double digits with 10 points.
And he runs like a gazelle. Last year played behind Jalen Deloach and Brandon Johns. Zeb Jackson on the floor. They need him badly.
Ryan Odom out to check on his senior guard. We'll be back to Philadelphia right after this. Got a good one here in Philadelphia to kick off this 8-10 doubleheader on this Saturday. La Salle, VCU all locked up at 26. We saw Zeb Jackson, one of the best players for VCU, go off the court. He actually left and went to the locker room in the break here. You saw him right there. He wears number 2. No apparent sign of what he did to injure himself, but he went down at half court right after that right there. They helped him up, and they also helped him to the locker room a moment ago. We hope he is okay, and in the meantime, that's a major part of the VCU's offense and defense to deal with that's not in the game.
Well, if you looked at VCU's roster and picked out the one position they lack depth, you'd say point guard. And Zeb Jackson is critical for everything that they do. If they want to play fast, he's the guy that needs to push in transition. And Jason Nelson is going to get an opportunity now Jason Nelson, #1, played at Richmond for Chris Mooney. He understands how to push tempo. He had some really big games for the Spiders.
Kind of a surprise looking at the stat sheet, and one of the reasons La Salle has hung right in there and led for a lot of this first half, Tim. They don't have nearly the size or the length of VCU, but they have more rebounds right now.
Yeah, that surprised me. And to update those numbers, remember, Fran Dunphy said we've got to win the turnovers and keep the rebounding close. La Salle was up 1 going into the last break.
VCU also has more turnovers than the Explorers at this point, too. Brantley is just 1 out of 5. That's their top scorer. Make it 1 for 6. Good hustle by Shepard. Not only kept that one alive, but draws the foul against Billups, and he'll go to the line to shoot the 1-and-1. Pardon me, the foul goes against Bairstow. And that's an effort play by Shepard. We'll see if he can turn it into 2 points.
Shepard's done a nice job, a momentum guy for sure. And he's made a big jump from last year with his perimeter shooting, up to about 33%. And last year, you may remember, he had the huge jumper to beat Fordham.
Double figures in 6 of his last 7 games. This is his 3rd season on campus. The first 7-game stretch of his career where you can say that. He knocks down both free throws. VCU lost its first 2 Atlantic 10 games of the season. They won at George Mason earlier this week. A team that went 15-3 in the conference last year, but replacing that entire starting lineup outside of Zeb Jackson, who just checked out with an injury. He's in their locker room. Foul called against La Salle. Against the man who just made the play on the other side, Sean Shepard. And this one will send VCU to the line now for the rest of the half. They'll be in the bonus.
Paul, I loved your comment earlier about how Ryan Odom said that this has been a dream job. He always knew that after leaving UMBC, you may remember that he was the first coach to knock off a #1 seed as a 16th, then went to Utah State. But in the back of his mind, he always coveted this job, didn't he?
Yeah, he said, like he told us, if it ever came up and the timing was right, it was one that he would pursue. Knows the area well. Shulga knocks down the 2nd free throw. His father, as Tim has talked about, spent 7 seasons as an assistant for Terry Holland at Virginia. Kind of grew up around basketball in the Mid-Atlantic to South region. He's happy to be here in his first season. Not happy to be tied with La Salle, a team that overcame some early struggles here today. Started shooting it well. They're rebounding it awfully well. They're turning over VCU. We'll hit the 3-minute mark, tied here at 28. Got to get one off. 4 seconds to shoot. Fasasi 0 for 3 from distance after he hit 3 on Wednesday night. Coming up at the halftime with the U.S. Bank halftime report. La Salle, as we've seen here, hanging right in there. It's been tied here recently and also tied right now. And Dayton, the team that's at the top of the Atlantic 10, up against Duquesne. We'll have highlights of that one coming up as we approach halftime. Furman, 10 points already, back out to Bairstow. He hasn't gotten going offensively yet. Nelson, who's checked in for Zeb Jackson. Bamasiel also hasn't scored yet. La Salle continues to own the glass. That was 6'10" Yotus. Marrero, Fasasi, could that be his first? Yes, it is.
Now, La Salle has won the 3-point line so far, and surprisingly, I think it's pretty close in the paint. VCU's missed a lot of layups.
Bamasiel missing a 3-pointer. And thinking about shooting, La Salle, after struggling early, they've made 7 of their last 14. Marrero's their top 3-point shooter. Yotus has one of these. That one in and out. And Bamasiel with the rebound. Averaging double figures, but has just been missing shots so far today. Extra step there for Bairstow. Fasasi and Marrero, the top 3-point threats for La Salle. And there is Fasasi hitting his first one. He hit 4 on Wednesday night.
Yeah, 14 was his career high versus UMass. You're right, 4 threes, but he also had 3 assists, a couple of blocks, and he played 37 minutes.
La Salle only will play 7 players in their rotation. Brantley back out to Fasasi. Good tip out there to Zan. Yotus gets them an extra possession. Brantley against Nelson. Little step over. Potential travel, not called, and the rebound to Furman. Inside of 1:30 left. La Salle on top of VCU by 3. VCU led by 4 early in this game, but it's been all La Salle since. Try to get it inside to Furman. And another turnover. Not as many rebounds, more turnovers. Yotu's inside. 2 more.
Hey, the tougher team is winning. The guards for La Salle are attacking seams. The Explorers are getting a lot of hands on offensive rebounds. They've been the tougher team.
Bamisiel has that one blocked. Fran Dunphy told us a couple of days ago, we've got to be smarter, we've got to be tougher. Poignant observation you make. Fran Dunphy would like to hear that one. Now inside of a minute, La Salle could have its biggest lead of the day after this possession. Getting all the way inside and blocked from the back. Fusasi. A snapshot of VCU's first half so far, just off of Bairstow.
And that was a big mistake by Bairstow. You know, you've got to shoot that ball there because of the fact that Furman has inside position. You know, athleticism-wise, VCU is superior. They're long, they're athletic, but I also think that there have been a number of balls that have been on their fingertips that they haven't been strong enough to hold down. That may come with time, but it's not happening today. I want to point out Fran Dunphy before the game said for us to win, we need a game in the 60s. That's exactly where they're at.
Shot clock at 5. Brickus just got it off. Toby Lawal, 5 seconds for VCU. This is Bell. To the hoop. Got it in. La Salle had a chance to take its largest lead of the first half, but in the end, it's Bell off the glass, and the Rams will go to the halftime locker room trailing by 3. Explorers solid showing here at home, and they're 7-1 when leading at the half. That'll do it for the first half. When we come back, we'll check in with Rich Lerner and Matt McCall in the studio for the U.S. Bank halftime report. Halftime about to come to a close here in Philadelphia. We take a look at the stats of what we saw in the first half. VCU had an issue taking care of the ball, and La Salle took advantage. They lead by 3 at halftime. Thanks for coming back with us, Paul Burmeister, alongside former Michigan Wolverine and longtime NBA center Tim McCormick. Tim, by the head coach's own admission, La Salle was an underdog coming into this one. What's the biggest reason they're leading by 3?
I can promise you this, Ryan Odom is furious with his team's rebounding. They're bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, and they were pounded on the glass. It was work ethic. Everybody helped out for La Salle. +6 on offensive rebounds. The big guys contested shots, contained the ball, and then secured the rebounds. It was a team effort for sure, and that's exactly what happens when you play against La Salle. You expect that you can dominate them. You go through warm-ups, you say, my gosh, they're not very big, we can take them, and then they just outwork you.
Christian Furman, you see there coming in, averaging only 6 points in the first half. Almost doubled that production. A lot of that came early in the first half as they were really getting him the ball inside. Take a look below there. The rest of the team is only shooting 33%. And a couple of their top scorers, Shulga and Bamisiel, have combined to make only 1 out of 8. Brickus with a play defensively to get him an extra possession here. Back to Brantley, the top 2 guards. Fasasi hit 1 3 in that first half. Largest lead for the Explorers was 7. And this one goes to Furman. And now we'll see what VCU can do as a response to that poor first half offensively. Shulga got your response right there.
They're going to have to share the job. Knocking down threes, moving the ball. Zeb Jackson, the point guard, doesn't appear as if he's going to play. Sitting on the end of the bench. Hurt his back at the end of the first half. That's exactly the start that Coach Odom was looking for.
Back to all-time, Brickus to Brantley. Brantley hasn't been scoring like he normally does, not only in the first half, but also the last couple of games. Hasn't hit his average of 15. Struggled with the shot early. It's all the way to the glass, but nice defense by Shulga. So he makes the three, comes up with the block, and now kicks it to Nelson. Kuany, Bairstow. Kuany off the glass, and the first 2 buckets of the second half to VCU, and they're back on top. Their last lead prior to that was 11-9 early in the first half. Trailed by as many as 7. On a little 5-0 run now to start the second half.
Be ready, J-Now! Iverson!
Rickus to Zan. Kusasi. They've gone cold from 3. Kuany up ahead. 7-0 run for VCU to start the second half.
And he won't get credit for it, but Sean Bairstow has had 2 brilliant passes to start the second half. He got assists on both of them.
See who steps up here offensively for the Explorers. Brickus, he ought to make that one. First bucket since the halftime break. And a quick timeout. We wondered what VCU would do early in the second half to try and erase that lead. Well, Shulga with a deep 3 to get it started, and then a couple of baskets inside, Tim.
Yeah, that first assist by Bairstow. That assist by Bairstow. He is controlling the game with his passing ability.
Both teams coming into this one 1-2 in the A-10. Rams won earlier in the week against George Mason, while La Salle lost at UMass on Wednesday night. Second half really did them in on Wednesday. Shulga has 1 in the second half. He'll stay with that one. Zan with the board.
Yeah, to win this game, it's going to be important for Bairstow and Shulga to be really aggressive. If they're scoring, they create space for their big guys.
Brickus draws the foul going in. Ian Brantley will be leaned on heavily. Brickus number 1 in the A-10, minutes played. Brantley number 3. La Salle only going 7 deep on the bench without Anwar Gill. Brickus slipped on his way to the basket, kicks it out to Fasasi. Still plenty of time, 14 to shoot. Shepard, Zan. And now they only have 5 to shoot. Zan stuck on the baseline, his 3rd basket. And the last 4 points to La Salle.
Much better job, both defenses containing the drive in the second half.
Seventh tie of the game right now. Bairstow changes that, gives the lead back to the Rams.
And there's an example of not containing the drive. You cannot allow your man to drive from 32 feet and get a layup to his dominant hand.
Starter last year consistently for Coach Odom at Utah State. Been a starter here since he came back to the lineup after the broken foot in October. Khalil Brantley struggling offensively just like he did on Wednesday night. Bairstow now already up by 2. Kuany's got a couple of baskets in the second half, and he's fouled on his way trying to get the 3rd by Brantley. The VCU's offense has been much better since the halftime break.
I estimate that a driver is a half step faster when he goes to his strong hand. In that case, Bairstow going right. Not bad going to his left there, but that was a really good example of how you can separate from your man.
We've talked since the game started here about all the new that's been injected into the VCU lineup. That includes Kuany Kuany, makes his first free throw attempt. Got a lot of time in what we knew was the Pac-12, playing at Cal the last 4 years. And Toby Lawal checks back in. He has 1 basket. It was, of course, a dunk, his signature move coming back in the first half. But Kuany is one of the 9 players who gets a lot of minutes here in Ryan Odom's rotation. And on the bench, there we see Zeb Jackson went there late in the first half.
This is as simple as I can put it. VCU's long-term potential this year is based in large part on Zeb Jackson getting back and healthy. I get worried when I see a guy grab his lower back.
Shepard had the 3, takes it to the hoop. Almost the and 1, but he'll get a chance to make 2. Now, his game offensively has been coming around, and they need it in addition to Brantley and Brickus. Had 11 and 8 at UMass, had 15 points at Fordham in the win last weekend. Much bigger role this year than his previous two.
We've talked a lot about VCU's length, but there's no doubt that Shepard is one of those guys that can get his elbow at the rim.
Started every game this season. In his first 2 years, Tim, he didn't start a single game. Fats Billups checks back in. Kuany Kuany, good start offensively to his second half. Will get a rest.
Why do they call Billups fast?
He sure,
a little puzzling to me.
Looks pretty slender. Kuany. Oh!
He was too high.
The wall. Man, oh man. And he was up there high enough to throw it down with ease. Off the back rim. Kuany, 3 fouls. That's why he went to the bench. Zan. Marrero. Now they get it back up top to Brickus in his 88th start here with La Salle. Zan for distance, nowhere near, and Shulga the rebound. La Salle not shooting nearly as well in the second half as they were to close that first. A turnover against VCU. Shulga's the top scorer for VCU, has 1 3 early. There it is from way out. See if he can get going as the second half gets longer. VCU by 1. VCU trailed La Salle by 3 at halftime. They've come out hot in the second half, and they lead right now by 1. Could have led by more. Toby Lawal, look how high he is. Did miss the dunk, but it's worth seeing again because he was basically eye level with the rim.
I'm telling you, he was too high. When he caught it, he was almost like at mid-range. The best max verticals in all of college basketball. And then if you add that up and put it at the combine, Toby Lawal is as high as anybody. Hey, I remember Michael Jordan's 49-inch vertical jump. Toby Lawal is half an inch higher.
49.5. Too high to dunk it. It's like that scene in Major League, the home run. They said it's too high. It's too high. It'll never leave the park. He would most likely have a couple more chances to make good on that.
I missed out on a lot of game prep today because I was watching their warm-ups just to see some things I've never seen before. You know who he reminds me of body-wise is a young Obi Toppin.
Watch him a lot in this conference. Shulga has 10 points. And that's a great rebound by Lawal, and he'll go to the line.
So why not dunk that one?
He's a little thrown off by the fact that he missed last one. We talked about the fact that they were being out-rebounded, especially on the offensive glass in that first half, and that's good work by Lawal. La Salle had 9 offensive rebounds, and VCU only had 3. And that extra, as Ryan Odom calls them, the offensive rebounds, the extras, gets him to the free throw line where he missed his first one.
I think he's going to be a really good shooter. His form is fine. Actually made 2 threes versus Seattle. Ball handling is good. He just needs to get stronger hands.
Yeah, whistle as Yotus now checks into the game and Shepard checks out. We'll get a rare look at this La Salle offense, Tim, without Khalil Brantley. He has 3 fouls. Each of the last 2 games, he also had 4 fouls. He's also only made 1 of 11 shots, so he takes a rest. And again, this is the rare time where he is not out there with Brickus. Usasi double teamed in the corner, in trouble. And he finds Yotus, free throw line. Textbook.
Wonderful answer. You saw VCU, as soon as Brantley sat, they brought max heat. A lot of pressure, and to find that little mid-range jump shot was spectacular.
Shulga, Bell, a little short there, missed the tip, and a rebound to Zan. Bell's the one player who's really been affected by Bamisiel coming back. He was starting, playing over 25 minutes per game, and that number has gone way down as Bairstow has come back, and also Bamisiel has returned. Great look inside, and what a block from Toby Lawal. Can do more than just dunk. Here's Bamisiel. That would have been an amazing dunk if he could have finished, but he'll get a couple of free throws.
Beautiful delivery inside, and what closure. The length and athleticism of VCU is startling to me. And Bamisiel, I mean, I would have liked to have no foul because there's no way that he could have dunked that ball leaving completely outside the paint. but maybe he could.
Bamisiel struggling to shoot, and his role is to score. We asked Ryan Odom, he said he's a scorer. Inside, out, he just comes off the bench and he scores. He's not made a field goal yet, and missed that first free throw as well.
You know, I watched the George Mason La Salle game to prep for today. At halftime, the very talented Patriots were down 43-37. That reminds me of this game because both George Mason and VCU have so many new players. They don't respect how you have to play to beat La Salle. I think in the second half, VCU's done a much better job. Same thing with the Patriots. George Mason was horrible in the first half, came back and actually blew out La Salle in the second half.
Shot clock down to 5. Ryan Zand crosses over, and that's another block. That one from Bamisiel. And we had a whistle just as Bamisiel was taken off. He was fouled. And the defense playing better here after halftime for the Rams.
Ryan Odom would have loved to not have the shot clock violation go up because it took away a fast break, probably a 2-on-1 opportunity for the Rams.
Ball never got to the rim, so shot clock violation, a win for the Ram defense. Bairstow inside to Bamisiel, still looking for that elusive first bucket of his afternoon. Guerrero, normally the three-point specialist, will take that layup, and La Salle will take the lead back. Bairstow inside to the wall, and a foul on the floor.
You know, potentially a 5-point turnaround. Instead of getting a wide open shot, Bamisiel does not catch the ball. Subpar pass, they get a layup at the other end. And I'd like to see Bairstow get a little bit more aggressive looking for his shot. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that with Zeb Jackson out, he's playing more of the role of facilitator, but he has the ability to get to the rim, make some of those shots.
VCU averages 12 turnovers per game. That was their 11th. Not even at the halfway point of the second half. Bamisiel wants to shoot it, kicked it out to Bairstow. And Fusasi touched that one, so we'll stay right here with VCU with 11 to shoot. Couple of Rams in double figures. Shulga has 10. Furman also has 10. Furman's on the bench now. And Shulga is as well. 4 to shoot. Bairstow runner. He got the friendly bounce. Brickus has made half his shots today. Always looking for the next. Lost the handle there. Bell scoops it up. Billups to the wall and gave it to him a little bit late. And he wanted the alley-oop.
Off the dribble, Bairstow is very creative. His length allows him to shoot over opposing defenses. And with Zeb Jackson out, he's going to have to play a lot of point guard role. Look at the versatility of VCU's defenders. They can switch 1 through 5. So it's possible you could have, you know, like a 6'8", 6'9" guy covering the point guard.
Zan well short. And La Salle's offense that was heating up as the first half got longer has struggled here since the halftime break. Bamisiel with his side up by 1. Can't extend it to 4. Zan continues to do well on the glass. So now as La Salle looks for its offense to get going here, who can they turn to? And again, Brantley struggling and on the bench with 3 fouls.
Well, the problem is that they don't have great one-on-one players. There's only one guy that's going to be able to create, and that's Brickus.
Guerrero had that one blocked by Bamisiel. It'll stay here with 6 to shoot. Talk about the length advantage for VCU. We just saw it right there. But Bamisiel getting that block. Explorers led by 3 at halftime. They trail by 1. LaSalle head coach Fran Dunphy has seen his lead that he had at halftime at 3 points go away here in the second half, Tim. And the biggest reason why, his team is having a hard time making shots. They have missed their last 8 3-pointers. So I don't know what he's drawing up. It'll only work if they can take that lid off the hoop, though.
4 for 18 from 3 so far for LaSalle. And maybe this is a trend that we're going to have to get used to. their three-point defense is really, really dialed in. As a matter of fact, against George Mason earlier this week, the Patriots shot 0 for 15 from 3. Today, 4 for 18. This is a team that has great length. They close out, and just by getting a hand up, opponents are going to have a hard time. Let me say it again. 4 for 18 for La Salle from 3. Last game, George Mason 0 for 15 from 3. VCU's three-point defense is a real thing.
And they are struggling to make shots. They've missed 18 of the last 24, and that is not the shot you draw up. The fadeaway from about 16 barely got rim. Shulga to Bell, spots it up. He was well short, but he chased down his rebound. Bairstow to Shulga. They've got 15 now to set it up.
Shulga and Bairstow are the only two guys on the court that I have confidence they can make a three at this point. Careless turnover inside.
VCU now at their average of turnovers already with 12. So there we see what Fran Dunphy has going offensively. His team has missed 18 of their last 24. You look at that number, Tim, and in a way, they're fortunate they're only down 1.
Well, the possession game is in their favor. 12-6 advantage in turnovers. That's what La Salle does.
Ryan Zan doing a great job on the glass, has 9 rebounds, but missed that open shot that would have given La Salle the lead. Led by 3 at halftime, but VCU has been much better since the break. Good look to Lawal. His second slam of the day. That one didn't go off the back.
Fran Dunphy said he wants a game in the mid-60s. He said we can win that kind of a game. That's exactly where they're at.
VCU led by 4 at 1 point of the first half. Brantley inside. And you go to the line. Anytime Toby Lawal is in the game, there is a threat of a dunk, and one where he is way up, dominating the rim and the air. And there's his most recent.
What an exceptional pass. VCU is really struggling to run their offense. Remember, Zeb Jackson's their point guard. He's the only player that was here in the rotation last year. Everybody else still trying to figure things out. They miss his leadership, they miss his ball handling, and commanded the offense.
Let's see if this little trip to the line can get Brantley going for the rest of the second half. He's our leading scorer, averaging 15. He's got 3 fouls. He's only made 1 of 11 shots. Nice pair of free throws there. And gets La Salle to within 1. Zan checks out. He has 9 rebounds. Somebody will have to pick up that part of the game with him on the bench, and Fusasi checks in. Good look inside. It's the kind of feed that'll get you to the line. It'll be Bairstow shooting 2. Super Wildcard Weekend begins today on NBC and Peacock. First, the Browns take on the Texans, then only on Peacock, the Dolphins battle the Chiefs. Super Wildcard Weekend presented by Verizon.
I like Sean Bairstow, and here's why. He's a multifaceted wing. He's crafty, smart, a natural small forward that can play anywhere that you want, 1 through 4. And he's still not 100% either. He had the Jones fracture of his foot in mid-October. Surgery, screws, 8 weeks, and he's going to get better and better. You may have heard of his brother Cameron Bairstow, who played in the NBA.
Number 1 free throw shooting team in the A-10. They have 3 more free throws made today than La Salle. And they still have that 3-point lead. Good look. Fusasi was open, gives it up to Marrero. Brantley just hit a couple of free throws. 5 to shoot. Brantley 3. He is 1 for 12 from the field. Shulga, kick it outside. And that's an offensive foul. Good job at taking the charge by Marrero.
Out of control on the break. It's got to hurt. Wow. Beautiful delivery, but you've got to keep your head up. You know, maybe staying at 55 miles per hour is better than exceeding the speed limit.
And let's see now, the main thing is if they can turn that into some offense here. It's been choppy for Fran Dunphy in this second half. Sassi, yet to get him going from distance, which is what he does. Yotus, shot fake, little jump hook. He's looked good today. Really, the last couple of weeks, as his minutes have gone up, he has slowly got that production up from the paint, too.
Well, we always know that the killer bees, Brickus and Brantley, and Anwar Gill, when he gets back, are the strength of this team. But now, Fran Dunphy has to have confidence that he's getting some go-to play from his big guys.
Jokic now with 9 points, well above his average, and a reach as Shulga was on his way to the hoop.
I want you to notice, no doubles keep coming. He keeps the ball nice and high and is able to go right over the top of a shot blocker. That's beautiful.
His season average just over 7, and today now you get him up to 11 points. Last couple of games, he's had 23 points and 9 boards, so you can see he's getting comfortable with that size. And also with his role now in his offense, Shulga gets that one to go down and earns a second. He's made all 5 free throws, and one thing Ryan Odom, his head coach, told us, he's a great scorer, yes, but he's really good at getting fouled and getting to the line. Made 5 out of 6 today. La Salle with a chance to tie, maybe go ahead with a 3. 1 for 13 now for Brantley, and back to Nelson. Wanted to push pace, wisely slows it down.
If you would have told me that Brantley would be 1 for 13, I would have said there's no way that La Salle can win this game. And I still feel like they're going to need him if they're going to be able to close.
Bairstow, Furman. Well, he has had such a nice afternoon there just outside the paint. He now has 12 points. Lead back to 4. Brickus crossover off the glass. Foul called in the paint against Brickus. Well, he's playing offensively a little bit better than his partner Brantley, but that tandem that averages 30 points a game is well below what they usually do.
You're gonna be impressed with Brickus getting this ball, but watch who keeps it alive to his teammate. That's very heady. That's Nikola Jokic type stuff, being able to see a teammate and tap them the ball.
Much better from the line. That's what the Explorers are today. They've now made 10 out of 13. Kuany checks back in. Get a couple of buckets early. Bell checks out. And one of the reasons that second half just got away from them at UMass on Wednesday night is because they made well less than half of their free throws. They're still looking to shoot it better from the floor, but the charity stripe has been a big improvement here today.
They missed 11 free throws against UMass. You know who loves their guards? Frank Martin. He raved about Killer Bees. You know, I'm going to change it because Fran Dunphy told me he calls them Fire and Ice. I don't know if they're Killer Bees or Fire and Ice. I like them both.
I would imagine Brantley will be heard from offensively, even though he's 1 for 13. And also coming off a season-low 7 points in that game on Wednesday night. Shot clock now down to 10. Kuany just checked back into the game. Size advantage against Marrero. And couldn't take advantage with the bucket. And here comes Brantley. La Salle with a chance to tie, maybe go up by 1. They led by 3 at halftime. They led by as many as 7 in the first half. And Marrero there, a little physical there, trying to get open. Offensive foul. Less than 7.5 left. Got a good one here in Philadelphia to kick off your A-10 doubleheader. Right now the Rams lead by 2. It has been back and forth since this one started earlier today in Philadelphia. Right now VCU on top of La Salle by 2, in spite of the fact that they've been getting a lot of good shots that they haven't converted.
It's surprising, and there's about 10 different facets of being a good offensive player. One of the things that I think VCU really struggles with is missing layups. They've missed a ton of point-blank shots. A couple guys, Michael Bell and Bamasil, have missed a lot. They're 1 for 10. If VCU just makes their layups, they're comfortably ahead.
One of the reasons VCU has come back to take the lead, they were down 3 at halftime, is Ryan Odom's side finally performing better on the offensive and defensive glass. They were well behind in that category coming out of the halftime break, and now they have more rebounds as a whole than La Salle does. VCU, though, still with twice as many turnovers. Bairstow takes it himself, and he'll go back to the line. #1 free throw shooting team in the A-10. They get there a lot. They make 77%.
Yeah, just way too easy. And with Zeb Jackson out, I like the idea of full court pressure. Jason Nelson is really the only point guard on the court. So the fact that they got right to the rim and they got it to a playmaker, Sean Bairstow.
We talked at the top of the broadcast about how we're still just kind of getting to know the flow and the chemistry of this team. Bairstow's absence up until mid-December with a broken foot, big reason why. He's been back ever since, his 6th game. Bamaseal's been back since late December. Most teams form their identity in November because of the personnel they've not had. VCU still working on that here in mid-January. Haven't been able to get that lead above 3 for much of this second half. Rickus double teamed. Finds Brantley, who's checked back in. Shepard. He got stuck there. The ball pinned between the glass and the rim. Couldn't convert. We talked about VCU getting good looks and not making them. That was an excellent chance for the Explorers. Kuany. And now they get that lead up to 5.
We just criticized Kuany for missing a layup, and then he knocks down to 3.
Pardon me, it's up to 6. The largest lead for the Rams, 55-49.
This seems like a very important possession. La Salle is not a good comeback team. They've got to be able to score and stay in touch.
Brantley just 1 out of 13, but he is their top scorer, so he'll keep shooting. Just cannot find it here this afternoon. Shepard tracks that one down. Baseline J. Lead is cut to 4. Scrappy possession there for the Explorers. A little over 6 minutes left to play in this one, and the Rams lead by 4. Inside that La Salle huddle is La Salle grad Fran Dunphy, Philadelphia through and through. And because of the time here, going to school at La Salle, coaching at Penn and Temple, something rare here. You see his resume and how much time he has spent in the city of Philadelphia. And when it comes to real estate and moving, he has a rare thing on his side for head coaches.
He sure does. In 1983, as a young coach, Fran Dunphy bought a house. It was near Villanova. He said, my wife and I couldn't afford it. Well, it was a pretty good investment because he still owns it. Remember, he coached at Penn, he coached at Temple. Coaches move all over the country. They become experts at real estate. Fran Dunphy has had one house his entire life.
It's amazing. And you mentioned he bought it in 1983. He's had 5 job moves since then. And he hasn't had to move out of his house.
That's part of the reason he took this job here. I mean, he's in retirement and he wants his program to go back to the way it used to be. So he took ownership of it. And once again, he doesn't need to move.
Now he's seen his lead as we get it back to basketball go away here. They led by 3 at halftime. Almost a steal there, Kuany. Rams have led by as many as 6. Shulga made one from that distance to start the second half. Shows patience that time. Shot clock now down to 10. Bairstow with the ball. By the way, he has 9 assists already today. Shot clock to 5. Little fade away. And that would have given him a double-double. He's getting close to a double-double had he come up with an assist. Rickus back out to Shepard. Just hit a baseline jumper. Get the feeling that Fran Dunphy just needs somebody offensively to step up here on this side and take charge.
I want them to go into Yotus. He's had good success with his low post moves.
Shepard, nice move to get to the lane. Kuany fouled him, and he'll shoot 2.
I'm going to put Shepard in the group with the Killer Bees and just point out the fact that these La Salle players are so cerebral. They understand angles. They understand how to use north-south to set up east-west, being able to drive and attack shoulders and hips. A lot of that is Fran Dunphy. These players are creative. They use shot fakes, a lot of old-school fundamentals.
We just saw him in a conversation there with his veteran guard, Jameer Brickus, and he told us a couple of days ago, he said, Jameer's a kid that I listen to. He's smart, he's tough. When he tells me what he sees and wants to do, I nod my head and say, go ahead. Shepard hasn't missed from the line, cuts the deficit to 2.
Look at the spacing. There's nobody in the paint for VCU. There's nobody within 10 feet of the paint for VCU. Driving opportunities are there.
Bairstow would be his 10th assist, and a 3 from Kuany.
That's 2 big back-to-back threes by Kuany. At a point where VCU struggling with their perimeter game, he stabilized things.
Bairstow with a rare double-double with points and assists, 10 apiece.
Right him out! Right him out!
Down by 5, Breakis goes to work, cuts it back down to 58-55.
One of the things that's a problem for La Salle, if they get into a fouling situation, VCU is the A-10's best, right at 78% from the line.
Sal hasn't beat VCU since all the way back in 2015. Hanging around here, no travel but a turnover. Throws it right to Marrero. Explorers with a chance to get to within 1 or a 3, where they've really struggled here in the second half, but they could tie it on this possession. Breakis. Shepard had that look. Brantley, 1 for 14. Second basket goes. He'll have a chance to make it a 3-point play. 3:36 left in Philadelphia. Kuany knocks down a 3 for VCU. Potential 3-point play of the old-fashioned way on the other end coming.
VCU, because La Salle has lacked playmakers. You know, I want to revisit Fran Dunphy's pregame keys. He said, we want to be able to win the turnover game. 7 extra possessions because of the 15 VCU turnovers. Also, keep the rebound numbers close. Actually, in a big surprise, La Salle has out-rebounded them, and at the line is Brantley. He's that New York City point guard. You know, he grew up watching Stephon Marbury and Mark Jackson and Kenny Anderson, and a critical miss at the line. VCU still has the lead.
Well, he had gone 36 minutes between made field goals. That's the leading scorer for the Explorers coming in, and could not convert the 3-point play. 1-point lead, and Lawal, offensive glass. Couple of looks at it, and he'll go to the line. Try to push that lead to 3 points.
At this point, I don't have any confidence in the perimeter game for VCU. That's why it's so important that they have elite offensive rebounding. Look at the length inside. This is a big team with long arms.
Toby Lawal in and out there, but he has 8 rebounds to go along with 5 points. VCU was at a deficit rebounding-wise, offensive and defensive, in the first half when they trailed by 3 at halftime. They've been much better here after the break. And Lawal almost put his own missed free throw back. You rarely see that. Bottom line, though, he went 0 for 2 from the stripe, and it's still a 1-point game.
Lawal's shooting 50% on his dunks today.
Brantley starting to feel it a little bit. Scored on the last time down court.
Blown opportunities.
So rare. You miss a free throw, you almost put it back yourself. Now on the other end, back to the line goes Khalil Brantley. He just missed one. LaSalle's been much better from the stripe today. They've made 13 out of 17. Brantley ties it.
And let me tell you why this free throw is so important. It gives you the lead and puts all of the pressure on VCU. Also, they may consider setting up their full court pressure.
Nelson checks back in, but LaSalle has taken the lead as we approach the 3-minute mark. The Explorers, who were picked to finish last in the A-10, that's 15 out of 15 in the preseason poll. Up by 1 late against the team that was picked to finish second, the defending champions from a year ago.
A lot of confidence to put in your 6-7 wing to break the press, set up the offense.
Does have 10 assists today. Back up top to Shulga. The wall's been big here in the second half, especially on the glass. Shot clock to 8, and Shulga fouled away from the ball. And he'll shoot 2. They're at that point. 10th foul. 4 fouls against Yotus. They like to keep him out there because he's been very good offensively for the Explorers. 11 points, made 5 out of 7, but that was his 4th foul.
It seems like a really bad foul. You're putting an excellent free throw shooter on the line. You get your 4th foul on a guy that can offer some post scoring.
Shulga's so comfortable there at the line, 88% for the season.
I asked Fran Dunphy before the game, who do you worry about? He said Max Shulga. He's their best player.
First made free throw meant we had 10 ties in the afternoon. Made the second. VCU on top by 1.
I like that matchup.
Shepard, 3, in and out. And Bairstow with the glass. Almost found the bottom there. VCU, which retook the lead on the last possession, has a chance to grow it. Bairstow, hesitation, fade away, tough shot.
Get the sense that Ryan Odom has great confidence in the ability of Sean Bairstow and Max Shulga. He coached them at Utah State.
And Brickus ties the game at 62. His 88th start, leads the A-10 in assists, but with his team down 3, gets those 3 right there. We're inside of 2 minutes, and we're all tied. Great game here in Philly to kick off your A-10 doubleheader, all tied at 62. La Salle had missed 10 consecutive three-pointers until Jameer Brickus stepped back and tied the game.
Here's the problem. Bell is 6'7", Lawal is 6'8". They're covering a point guard. They're switching, and there was a defensive lapse. Let's be honest, big guys are not used to covering 30 feet from the basket.
See what kind of pressure they apply here full court-wise. They battle back to get this game tied again at 62. It's the 11th time we've had a tie here this afternoon. La Salle's led by as many as 7. VCU is led by as many as 6. And it's been a fun back and forth the entire time. Now VCU seems like they have more scorers to lean on. They have 4 players in double figures so far. That's Shulga, Furman, Bairstow, and also Kuany. Kuany's out there. Bairstow and Shulga as well. Jameer Brickus, you talk about La Salle, you got to focus on the guards, and Brickus has been the better of the 2 between him and Brantley here today.
Brickus is an all-league player, constantly evolving. 5'11". Is he really 5'11"? Not sure about that, but he plays with so much hunger. And remember, VCU without their point guard, Zeb Jackson, hurt his back at the end of the first half.
Bairstow, a good one to have handling the ball. Double-double, 10 points, 10 assists. Inside, another assist. Elevating is Lawal.
Player of the game for VCU has been Bairstow. Double-double, he gets to the paint, involves his teammates.
Brickus down 2, double team coming. Just hit a 3, tough pull-up. Couldn't quite get it to go. Lawal just had the slam, now with the rebound. He's been terrific off the bench. Any kind of foul will send VCU to the line to shoot 2.
And they're the best in the A-10.
Kuany hit one from there earlier, got another, and a huge one for the Rams.
Kuany with 3 threes down the stretch, fantastic.
Inside a minute, now down 5, and another 3. 20 points for Brickus. And he had the quick response to Kuany's 3. The kind of game of threes here in the last couple of moments. VCU's had a number of players step back and knock them down. Skip pass to Kuany, his second from that exact same spot in the second half, and Brickus now has 2 in the last couple of minutes after his side had missed their previous 10 from distance, and they're back to within 67-65.
All right, let's talk some strategy. Plenty of time for La Salle. But the problem is, if you get into a situation where you have to start fouling, 77% from the line for VCU this year. They don't miss a lot. And then also, you know that the best players handling the ball in late game situation are Bairstow and Shulga. You don't want to foul those two.
You really don't want to foul any of these Rams. Team fouls, you see 10 there, so any type of foul will equal 2 free throws. For VCU, 77, in between 77 and 78% for the season, best in the A-10. So they're in a good spot there. Nelson will take it out against Zeb Jackson. Normally their point guard went out with an apparent back injury earlier in the first half and hasn't been back.
And remember, for La Salle, this is a trip you do not want to foul. There's going to be dummy offense by VCU for the full shot clock, and then they're going to look to make it a 2-possession game.
18 seconds between the shot clock and the actual clock. Bairstow, double digit with points and assists, and another! Toby Lawal living above the rim and putting his team back up by 4.
2-possession game, get something to the rim.
Off of Brickus, what a play by Nelson.
As soon as Sean Bairstow cleared that screen, he looked at Lawal and they knew exactly what they were going to do. It was an Obi Toppin type of play.
Now they're taking another look at this play to see if they made the right call on the court. We'll see whose ball it is. And we'll eventually get the call too. Nelson knocked it away, and on the court in live action, they said it was off of Brickus.
I thought it was too. Initially, I felt like as soon as he lost the ball, Brickus signaled his way, but he was just begging for the ball clearly off his hand.
Taking a couple of good long looks at that one. Meanwhile, we can share with you that Bairstow is having an unbelievable game here for VCU. One more look here to see if it did go off of Brickus. It looked like that left hand is the one that drove it out of bounds.
Pretty good defense by Jason Nelson pressuring the ball. But what a second half for Toby Lawal, and the 3-point shooting for Kuany. Those two have been difference makers for the Rams.
And DJ Carstensen, the head official here, just signaled, yes, it will be VCU ball. Sean Bairstow has 12 points and 12 assists. Amazing stat line for the transfer from Utah State. And you mentioned Toby Lawal. He's almost joining him in a double-double. He has 9 points, 4 dunks, by the way. And he also has 10 rebounds. As VCU has gotten much better in that category, as they lost the rebounding game in the first half, they've been winning in the second half. Again, any kind of foul will send the Rams to the line to shoot 2. 25 seconds left, and they're on top by 4. Shulga's their best free throw shooter. Gets it up to Bairstow. And he's fouled by Brickus. Bairstow 61% from the season, not their best. And we'll see what he's done here today. He's been a little better than that today as he's made 3 out of 4.
And the pace has picked up a little bit in the second half. We felt pregame that would be a VCU advantage. 2 free throws, it's still a 2-possession game.
He's now 4 out of 5 on the afternoon. Top free throw shooting team in the A-10. They've made 18 from the stripe already.
And a big concern, La Salle is not a great 3-point shooting team. They're going to need a couple.
Bairstow 14 points to go along with 12 assists, and now La Salle has got to be in a hurry. Brantley, Brickus has hit a couple of threes here recently. Clock ticking, that's a tough one, and nowhere near. Brantley with the rebound, now 10 seconds left, crossover. Back out to Marrero. And the rebound to Shulga, and the final seconds will tick off the clock. VCU with a late surge to come on the road and win their second A-10 game, and they earned that one for Ryan Odom. In the end, they win by 6. Quite an effort for the home team here today, though, Tim.
defensively, really impressed with the adjustment. First 2 games of the A-10, VCU gave up 80 points per game in 2 losses. Last game, they only gave up 50. Much better holding La Salle to 65.
Bairstow, what an afternoon for him. 14 points and 12 assists to lead the way. Thanks for watching A-10 basketball from Philadelphia.